I'm recording.
And what do you teach? I forgot.
Nursing.
Nursing. Gabriella?
I'm in behavioral and social sciences both.
Wait, that's my department. What do you teach in behavioral
Which one is
science?
yours?
What do you, psychology, behavioral sciences.
Okay.
What do you
So
teach?
I'm in anthropology. And
Oh,
then
cool.
I also teach geography. So there are two different places here. So
Right.
one's under one, one's under the other.
Are you in other schools then?
Sort of. I'm still finishing my PhD.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah, we need a full-time anthropologist. That's for sure. Our department needs one.
well, this would be quite a lot. It's cheaper to have us adjunct, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was an adjunct for 15 years before I got the full-time.
My good friend was Rick Segovia, who just
Oh.
retired.
Rick, yeah.
So I just missed him because he retired right before I got here.
That'll happen.
One of those things. We started out as academic advisors together at Columbia.
Oh. Happen to people. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to steal this.
Is it real?
It seems like
Wow. That is real.
it. It's got brown stuff.
It's real. Wow, it's beautiful.
I'm trying to bring it back to life.
It looks healthy.
Okay, so
Yep.
what do you think of when you think of self-fulfilling prophecy?
Prophecy.
Mario, right?
Yes.
I do that so often. Name then I immediately evaporates. Prophecy like what? What do prophets do?
They forecast things to happen.
Yeah, predict the future. That's a
You want the
prophecy.
future,
Right?
you want it to be fulfilled.
You might want it to be. That's half the concept. How would you say it, Gabrielle? You're a
Prophecy
behavioral
or the whole schmear?
self-fulfilling prophecy.
I think if I feel like I'm going to fail, then I'm probably going to fail, or something like that.
It influences it. It doesn't determine it, of course. So let's say another way I like to look at it is the way we talk to ourselves. So you're on your way to a party and you go, I'm going to have a great time at this party. So then you walk in the door of the party and you're smiling because you're about to have a great time. And so who's attracted to you?
Everybody.
People that are happy, right? And so next thing you know, you're surrounded by happy people and you do indeed have a great time at the party. That's the theory. So I always ask my students, what do you want to be telling yourself when you're going into a job interview?
I'll be accepted.
I'm going to be accepted.
I can be hired.
Yep. What else might you want to tell yourself?
This is going to be a great interview. Something
This-
like that. Just straight
It's
up.
going to go great. This is going to. Also, I'm really good at this. I'm good at interviewing. They would be lucky to have me.
Right, right.
Yeah, so when I was applying for jobs too, I would get really disheartened by getting rejected over and over again. So I would just contact key friends and they would start planting those same thoughts in my mind. They'd be lucky to have you. They're idiots if they don't, accept you, what have you. And those jobs are crazy. The competition is cuckoo. Okay, so there's like a circle that we get concerned about in the classroom. I'll leave that box alone.
You can hit hide.
Hyde. Oh, there we go. Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde. So the expectation we have for a student, and then self-fulfilling prophecy. We tend to do stuff just like when you go to a party and you think you're going to have a good time, or you go in the interview. We tend to do stuff that makes it go our way. In this case, we're going to tend to do stuff without even knowing it. That's going to affect the student, and then student responds a certain way. The whole cycle gets reinforced. The question then is, how do we become aware of our behavior and use the self-fulfilling prophecy to their benefit, to our benefit, which they also often call the Pygmalion effect. So as these guys have first zeroed in on it in the research, and then of course there's been tons of research since then. So here's the one they did. They randomly selected students and said they're going to be late bloomers. There was another study where it was grade school and they didn't tell the They didn't tell anybody, including the teacher. And what they did is randomly assign the students to behavior problems, academic excellence, and academic problems. So they had those 3 boxes, and they gave them to a grade school teacher. And by the end of the year, sure enough, people fit into those boxes, even though they were randomly picked in the beginning. That was one, they didn't repeat that research because they were worried about how hard it would be on the teacher. Because she didn't know what's happening, and then she's like, oh my God, what have I done? And that's our department. How can we be intentional and be specific about how we're using this to our benefit? So how would you treat a student who says, I'm anxious, I have social anxiety disorder, I've got general anxiety disorder? How would you handle that? If somebody's anxious, what kind of behaviors would you do in the classroom for that person? What do you think?
How will you manage it?
Yeah, how would you manage
Well,
it?
maybe you can teach them strategies to minimize their anxiety, like the breathing or the thing that they can squeeze.
Yeah, in the context of your class, and we also have, the borderline between that and actually being a therapist or trying to solve problems. But I think that's a very inviting thing if you say, hey, here's where you're at. What can we do to make this better for you? How are we going to make this learning environment? To me, that would feel like an invitation to learn. What else would you do if somebody who says they're anxious?
I think I've tried to be really upfront about my agenda for the class so they're not surprised or they don't know what's happening next. So trying to have a set pattern that I follow each class or put an agenda for each class of what we're going to be covering so there's no surprises. Maybe publish it in advance, so they know.
To relieve their
Yeah.
anxiety?
So
Yeah,
they can
which can
structure
relieve it. What I do is I play good cop, bad cop. Like when Hunter Stuckmeyer's here and she's got ADHD and she talks about how to create environments that are, I'm like, okay, that's cool. So you've got ADHD and the project is still due on Tuesday. And so I had an argument with somebody's mom one time. She was writing me emails and saying, but my son has ADHD. He needs extra time to turn in his assignments. I'm like, okay, great. How much time does he need? 2 days. Perfect. Just start 2 days earlier. We had a big argument. We just kept going back and forth. I'm like, he can control how much time he's got. It's in his purview. He knows what's up with him. Just start earlier. So I had a student who had social anxiety disorder, and she said, can you redo this group project for me? Because I can't work with the other people. Can you make a separate project, just for me? And my answer was absolutely not. You can skip the points if you want, just not do the project. And then so now we're back to the subject of expectations. What's the right amount of expectation? In her case, I just said, no way. You're on the team. Here's your team, ready to go. And then she just excelled at it. She was great at it. So did I pick the right side? That case I did. But if a person's overwhelmed, there's a line in there where it's not going to work for them. And that's the beauty of being a teacher, right? You got to figure all this stuff out and not get paid for it. Okay, ADHD, same sort of thing. They'll say they need accommodations first. What I try and do is work with the accommodations, but still have the expectations just high for what I think they're at. So I try and guess where they're at and then go from there. But we can use the expectations to our advantage. What the research was showing, not this one, but this one. So the data is getting at the self-fulfilling prophecy doesn't have as much effect as we thought it was going to. We've been studying it for years and thinking this is excellent. Now that we've discovered it, let's use it. It makes a difference, but not as big as we thought. But if you do it, if you look at it from a different angle, expectations have a big difference. So the expectations we put on people are different from the way we're talking. Like we're talking to ourselves and saying, this person is going to do well. That's a different realm from I expect you to do well. So we've got more leverage here, we've got leverage there, even more leverage here. And again, it's a balancing act. It could go the wrong way. Too much expectation, obviously. I feel like our students are academically wounded. Do you feel like that? They have trouble asking questions, making comments, sticking their neck out. They're worried about being wrong, being embarrassed. Do you find that, Mario? Do you find it?
Sometimes, it's like they're shy,
Yeah,
so.
sort of.
Sort of, you just have to encourage them, so.
Yeah.
Sometimes I let my students do presentations that they can overcome this shyness.
There you go. And I think I ain't buying it. So, no, what I say is, okay, you're shy, so that means you're uncomfortable asking questions. And then I remind them that it's perfectly okay to be uncomfortable. Our society's so messed up, we think we're
Oh, I
supposed to
like
always
that.
be comfortable.
It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable all the time. And a lot of stuff we talk about in class has to do with personal growth. That's just filled with discomfort. How do you handle that, Gabriella? When you're doing it, are you watching your expectations, or is it something you?
I think I'm hearing them feel that the classroom, not that the classroom environment is hostile, but I feel like that wounded student thing is definitely something there, and that they feel that it's unfriendly, or they don't have a friend in the classroom. And that what seems so different from high school is there at least be one person that they knew
Yeah,
in a couple of their classes, at least.
interesting.
Maybe more than one, but they just don't have a friend. Have you made any friends? I hear them asking each other in the
Right.
hallway. And this is not girls, this is guys, other people. I hear them using that friend language.
Right.
So I think that has to do with maybe how, and I'm not sure if, there was a lot of touchy-feely stuff in our freshman seminar at the place I've taught, and it had so much, what do you call those, the breakers, the icebreakers?
Yeah.
It was like almost ridiculous. Like sometimes they would just be super ridiculous ones. I'm like, come on, I'm gonna do it, you do it with me. And it was like required to do an icebreaker
Oh, really?
for every class.
Oh,
And I think they got to be so chummy
I love
that
that.
made it so that they were super talking out in class.
Nice. I would love that if you'd share those with me, the icebreakers.
Yeah.
That'd be
see
cool.
what happens.
That'd be great. Yeah, because, but when you said friend, that made me think, wow, maybe I should build something into it where they're actually
In clusters.
making friends. I'm doing it in my intros because they're all doing a research study together. I don't think I'm being careful enough about helping the team connect.
Sometimes I make them, they can be doing stuff independently, but they have to get together and make a consolidated slides
Project,
for a
presentation.
class slideshow.
Yeah.
So then they can work together and give them time in class to just get it together. That
Right.
gives them a little bit. They can be independent, so they're not, a lot of them are freaked out about group work because they don't want to get slammed and have to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
But if there's at least 3 or 4 people,
What I do with the research study is each member of the team needs to have 20 subjects. So let's say they're doing a survey. So if there's 4 people, they need 80 subjects. If there's 2, they need 40. So it doesn't have that pressure of the
Yeah.
one person to
right.
pick up the slack. But I want to make sure there's more than one person in that group so they learn to work with each other. I'm saying to them that what everyone's looking for in the post-college world is soft skills. They need to be learning soft skills. And AI proficiency, of course. But the rate at which things are changing, I'm telling them we need to move from changing ability to teaching ability to teaching agility. They need to be like ready to move and change directions. And oh my God, my world changed since 2 months ago. So we would do this exercise if we had more humans, where somebody plays a student, somebody plays a high expectation teacher. Or how would you react to that? High expectation teacher versus the low expectation teacher. How would that affect you guys if you were in a class? What do you think? Picture a high expectation.
Well, I expect
What kind of messages does that send if you have a high
High
expectation?
expectation, meaning you have to work hard.
Yeah,
Meet the expectation of your teacher.
yeah, that you will work hard, right?
You will work hard, which is good.
What are
It will
expectations?
give stress to the student.
Yeah, notice how they could, the problem is, of course, we have a room full of students and they're all different. So if we have high expectations for one person, it might be overwhelming for another
Overwhelming stress.
or boring for another. Yeah,
It depends on the person.
right. And this, sometimes I can adjust it. So if a person's particularly capable, I'll expect more from them. But it's just too hard to keep track of, beginning of semester, I get 80 new people to meet, so. But so high expectation might be overwhelming, low expectation might be, they don't care. Yeah. So then we were looking at, they said, it's both mind and brain, because, mind and brain are not the same thing, of course. But I always do this differentiation in class, because, brain's an actual organ that can be weighed and measured and what have you. Of course, a mind can't be measured. So if we're like, is a person happy? That's a mind question, not a brain question. Are they, do they have a tumor? That's a brain question.
The mind is more like abstract.
That's completely abstract to the point where it doesn't even weigh anything, right? And if we're talking about, and the other thing is you can measure this, but you can't measure something like sanity or happiness. So what we do instead is evaluate it. You get like 5 experts together, they all look at the situation, go, okay, let's put our heads together. We judge that person to be sane, like that, or healthy. We judge them to be healthy. So that's evaluation, that's measurement, but obviously they affect each other. You tweak a brain, it's going to affect the mind. And what we put in our mind shapes our brain because of plasticity. So our brains are always changing shape and function. So we got these guys, that's nice. Mirror neurons we discovered not that long ago. I love doing experiments on other people's children. So they'll be like in a stroller and they're 1.5 years old. And I'll look at them go. And they look up at you and go. Because their mirror neurons just told their finger to move, but they have no idea. Plus, students do it with 2 minutes left in class. One of them zips up their pack. Zip, 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 zip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mirror neurons are just automatically clicking in for everybody. And then, oh my gosh, how many of these do we have? What kind of nonverbal cues do you use? Or let's say, possibly verbal, but what kind of cues do you use to say to them that they belong, that they're capable, that you believe in them? What kind of stuff do you do? How do you create a learning community?
I think repeating their name or like saying, remember what Robert said earlier, kind of reinforcing that, acknowledging their contributions.
I think name is huge. It's a respectful
Greeting them by
thing.
name when they come in the door, that's a really big thing. And it also makes it more friendly, because at least they have, them in the room.
Yeah.
And then the more you say someone's name, you know them.
And I put my name up there because halfway through the semester, some people might go, wait, what was your name? I'm like, that's just too embarrassing. That's too weird.
And when you face your students, your face should always be relaxed.
Interesting.
Eye contact and relaxed.
Oh, I like that. I never thought of that because I'm like a high-strung circus performer in class. Sometimes,
DJ.
every once in a while, I slip up and I refer to them as audience, which is a bad sign. But I call them customers all the time. Customers, you're right. Hey, look at all these customers we have here. They're the customer. They're paying. I work for them. They're not working for me. So when they stop and say, I did this project and I got it in on time for you, I'm like, okay, great, that's great, but let's stop for a second. It's not for me. It's a learning opportunity I'm giving you, and that's great. You took advantage of it. But it's your education. Day one, we talk about them owning their own education. They're in college now. It's not the library's job to educate you, and it's not my job. It's not your fault, it's your job to educate you. I'll give you all the resources you need. That's a type of high expectation, I think. That's a big shift. I specifically say we're making a big shift from high school now. This is a qualitative jump. It's a quantum leap. I think for me, the names is a huge one. And trying to think what other little things I do. Well, for me, humor is big. So, and the fact that it's okay to be uncomfortable. So I'm like, they'll be like, and I'll be like, are you guys feeling embarrassed? Oh, good. Embarrassment's good for the soul. Let's not take it too seriously. It's just embarrassment. We're all going to die from climate change. So let's forget about the embarrassment for now.
That's the right.
Yeah, that's like,
I think
We're
it's
gonna
fun.
die, right?
It's good to have some levity,
Yeah.
we were talking about archaeological sites and the public and
Ooh.
archaeology. So I played a King Tut with Steve Martin.
really? Oh, you played the video.
The
I thought you
video
meant
of
you
him
played it
singing.
in class. You played
No,
it.
no, I didn't do it personally because it's just too embarrassing. But because it had all the attributes, it was such an important archaeological museum exhibit and
Oh,
moment that it made it into pop media where everyone saw that. It was
is that
huge.
right? Because it had important elements in it.
Yeah, I think it
didn't
was
know that.
referencing the exhibit and archaeology and artifacts throughout the entire
Oh, through the
song.
video. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you played him that song.
that one where he's
The
doing
pop
the King
song.
Tut. Yeah, when he's
That's
doing all
funny.
this stuff.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let them just let their hair down in the classroom. Like, we're gonna watch this, and you're not gonna expect it.
Yeah. So we build a schema, we build a schematic, like architects use a schematic. In Psych, we build schemas of anything, a thought map of the world, of the campus, of our relationships, of ourselves. We have all these maps. And it turns out one of our needs, we have the need for belonging, of course, Maslow and all that stuff. Turns out we also have a well-researched need to be right. We need to have a map that's accurate. And when people question that map, you can end up with wars. You can end up with all kinds of horrible stuff just because people are questioning a map of reality. So we've got, those schemas tend to persevere. They've got their own inertia. So I say if you've got like, grandma's been a Catholic for 40 years, what happens if you tell her that, did you ever think that God might be a woman? And you're going to end up with some rattled schema there. Something's going to happen. We would really like our map to stay the same. And as a result, we go out and look for data all over the world that's going to reconfirm, that's going to confirm what we already believe. So that's a continuous danger. I'm saying, for instance, that I think my students are academically wounded. It might be that there's 2 students who aren't at all, but they're just quiet. And my bias is that nobody should be quiet. So I have a tendency to confirm that.
Do you have a way for them to do those polls and
No, because they can't use any electronics anywhere ever. Yeah. We could do that, but we're using the old-fashioned method on a number of things. I give them a notes organizer on paper, so they write with an actual pen and paper, and raising their hands and talking to the whole class. And I figure it's their chance to interact with the humans, which they sometimes will get extra credit, or I'll say in the hallway, if you were in my class, you'd be getting extra credit right now. I've had people take my next class because of that. Because I kept stopping and saying, you guys, you're talking to the humans. Because everyone else in the hallway is watching cats play the piano. It's everybody lost in their phone, right? When you walk down a hall, it's unbelievable. It really concerns me. So we have to watch our own tendency for that. They don't have it here, but the stereotype threat is the one where there's a danger and the threat is happening me against me. The danger is I might accept the stereotype. So you receive a stereotype, women are not good at math. If you believe it, that's a stereotype threat. If you're like, hey, I don't believe that, or maybe there's a vestige of it, but I'm going to work my way out of it, that's a different thing. The danger is you'll accept it, and then you'll walk into a math test and not do as well. So, oh, there's one. Bad at math. Oh, it's got this on it too. I thought I had that somewhere. And there's your danger. Students internalize the variables. So I'm like talking to them continuously, telling them how capable they are. And one of the ways I do that is by expecting things from them. The one woman I said, you can be on a team, that's fine. Underneath there is the message, I believe in you. You can handle this. Yeah, my first therapist did that for me when I was like 20, and I was saying, all this stuff happened, oh my God, I'm so anxious, these terrible things happen in my life, blah, 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 blah. He waits and he thinks for a second, he goes, well, you did it to yourself. So when my therapist said that, I'm like, oh, but he was sending that message that you can handle this. I know you can handle it. Okay, cool. So, this is like everywhere this can work for us. The self-fulfilling prophecy, another way that they're calling the Pygmalion effect from the story. And so it's like everywhere. Anywhere we can take advantage of the way we talk to ourselves, we can take advantage of the self-fulfilling prophecy. This works too. If you ever heard of this celebrity? Her name is Oprah. Remember her? So she had this thing where she had this book called The Secret, and it was about manifesting, which is basically just the self-fulfilling prophecy. It was saying, believe it's going to happen, it will tend to happen. It'll tend to happen. Yeah. So I mean, it's a powerful tool.
So it's like positive thinking.
Yes, and I'm not only teaching my students the power of it and to do it with themselves, like walk in the job interview, but I'm also doing it myself, and I'm doing it with them. I believe in you. I figure, whatever, if that doesn't work, no harm, no foul. But it's got to be the best way to go, I think. I believe in you. How do you figure out those gray areas where you're not sure, you don't want to overwhelm somebody, but you also want to expect a lot from them? How do you all manage that boundary? How do you know?
I think I can make something that's a high stakes kind of place for them to perform. But if I can scale some of the stages, I can see who's falling apart or who's, having writer's block. If they can't reach the first level of it, then I know to intervene.
Like a bigger project or whatever?
Yeah, they have to develop something and they're stuck at one of the levels. If I have it staged, then I can try to catch them.
I like that.
To give them extra encouragement.
I do all my classes based on points, the grading systems on points, and they have to have X number of points before the 10th class session, or they have to drop the class. And I keep reminding them, like, guys, you got to get to 35 points. But some people aren't there yet. What's going on? And some people, of course, will wait till the last second and get. Out of 80 students, I only have one that didn't make it. But I'm like, but that's making sure they don't just show up for class and do nothing. Those students it doesn't drive you crazy. Is it just me? I've got students that they know the stuff. They're in the class, but they're not doing any of the projects or any of the textbook stuff. Extra outside class, that's part of the regular work. They're just not doing it.
It's the whole system is screwed against the community college students or the working college or any non-traditional.
How so?
Because it's the whole system of college classes is based on that you're living in a dorm within a 5-minute walk from your classes, and it's really unfair, because they don't understand a 3-hour class means you're supposed to spend an extra 6 to 9 hours per week
outside
on that class.
Yeah.
So that's how you get to being a full-time student. It's 12 hours times that extra 36 hours put it together is, like 48 hours.
It's a lot. That's why it's full time.
Yeah, they don't get it. And whenever I'm not in class and I'm booking myself to be working or I'm in transit.
Yeah, some of the students are working full time.
Yeah.
And they could not stop. I asked them, please stop. They said they cannot because they cannot afford to pay their bills.
Yeah.
Even just cutting one day one of my students
Right.
said, he cannot afford it.
And taking care of family.
Yes.
So it might be working full time, taking care of family and going to school. That's crazy. Hello. I was full time when I went to grad school, but looking back on it, it's like, oh my God, I never could do that again. That was crazy. There's no way. So I often tell them that I go, Triton students are amazing. Look at the stuff people deal with. And then I go through the list of sometimes students are doing all this stuff. I'm hoping that's going to get to the few people in class who are really overextended, and they'll go, wow, somebody understands that I'm not, avoiding the work in class because of whatever. I'm just overwhelmed. So cognitive load, and then of course cognitive load is going to be offloaded to AI. So all my students have to have AI engine, and they do a bunch of assignments that are AI related. And then they're doing research project, each team, and their project needs to be on the subject of AI. So we do it all the time. We go into class and say, hey, why don't we try this? Today I was trying to figure out the subtleties of the difference between the word ego for Freud and the word ego for Jung. And I just started compare and contrast those two to ChatGPT, and it decided to make a table. I made this beautiful table comparing the two of them. It said context, definition, criticisms, did all these different rows on the table. It was beautiful. So some people are figuring in about 2-3 years, almost all of our cognitive load will be offloaded. Which means almost all our thinking will be done by AI, which means we're going to need to be choosing to think. And that's a massive, once again, a quantum leap. Going to be quantum. When we can't tell who's real and who isn't.
So do you think it's a good thing, or what?
I think it's a thing.
It's a thing.
I'm a techno-optimist, so I think ultimately we can rely on human nature. It's going to work out. It's going to work out great. But this is why I like coming out of the psychology department and trying to change Triton's culture around AI, because I think those are the big challenges, the psychological ones. Who are we exactly? Identity is going to come into question. We say, can an AI become conscious? We have to say, what do we mean by consciousness? We got to turn that around and figure out what we mean by, can an AI feel empathy? What do we mean by empathy exactly? So it's really reflecting back on us. Yeah, I think our cognitive load will be gone. It's going to completely disrupt the work world. Some people say 6 months to a year, 90% to 100% of all computer programming will be done by AI. Wow. That's within a year. So what happens to the smart companies will take the same number of people and get 10 times as much done. The stupid companies will cut costs because they can have an AI do it instead. So this is the message I'm trying to get at. Wherever they're coming from, I find the biggest challenge to me is people that are pretty far off standard deviation. So they're, let's say they have a serious psychological disorder. I find that disruptive in my trying to figure out how to include everybody, because they're such a special case. And I even have one student who takes 10 times as much time as any other student, and she's just not connecting. So what do you do with that? Do you get exceptions in classes where someone's particularly hard to address their needs? Do you run into that or not? I mean, it's great if you're not.
I mean, they might have accommodations, but they may still be really having a hard time. It's a question of what is the purpose for them being in the classroom?
Mm-hmm.
Are they in that particular class to meet a certification requirement, to be a practitioner of a certain thing that's going to be dangerous, like
Yes.
a health professional or
Yes.
something like that? In which case, if they have serious memory problems, that might be very dangerous if they're going to be giving out medication in
Definitely.
a nursing
They lack
home or
critical
something.
thinking.
Yeah, or they can't, they're
Definitely.
having, if they had a brain injury or they have a serious
Yeah.
processing issue, but were they mainstreamed in high school for a certain reason? Are they here for enrichment? Is that their purpose?
Right.
Is graduating with a college degree
Yeah.
their primary goal? And these enrichment classes in a general education program, perfect for that. And then I have to understand where they're going. So if that's the case,
Right.
then maybe I give them their assignments at the end of the last class, so they have more lead time.
Yeah. Do you have
To do
time?
it.
I'm sorry. Do you have time to meet with them individually if you're thinking they need that kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Or get someone else, maybe their IEP needs changed, maybe they need an extra attendance with them in the room, maybe or their plan for
Yeah.
accommodations might be different, to help them to keep along. I mean, that's something you can let that office know. If you have that one student
Right.
who's way off, like, this is no way
Yeah.
they need more intensive accommodations for this type of class. Maybe other classes are not that bad.
and I worry even more about people that seem psychologically hurting. And I'm like letting them know counseling is there. Here's the resource, but I don't have a way of making it happen. What do you think, Amari? Are there people
Only
you're
the
running?
same thing, we meet with our students one by one. We have office hours, and then sometimes we have challenges, like, we use a tool to evaluate how they learn best. Like,
Yeah.
Are they auditory,
Right.
visual? So we use this tool to evaluate how they learn best. And also by observing them in the lab,
Mhm.
how they perform a skill. If they have some deficiency, then we meet with them. And at the same time, we recommend to maybe arrange or make an appointment with a peer tutor, because we also have peer tutor.
Peer mentors, you mean?
Yes, mentors. So peer
Mentor or tutor?
Yeah, tutor.
Oh, tutor. Yeah, in the tutoring center.
Yes, we also have in the department,
Yeah,
like peer tutor, like a student also. Like,
that's great.
Yeah, like it will help them, guide them
Right.
how to transition and become
But-
comfortable.
When you get their style, like, visual or whatever, and they have a style of learning,
Tactile,
do you feed that back to them, or do you proactively try to address their style?
Yeah, we talk about it together and make sure when you deliver your lesson, you're going to cater to everyone's style of
Yeah.
learning.
Or try to?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not just one style, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's demonstration, there's videos, writing, reading.
it's hard. That's why here we're all gonna get like a double salary raise, 100%. Yeah, so this is talking about our materials. So what's going on in your syllabus, language-wise? And I'll be happy to send you this PowerPoint if you want. But what kind of stuff are we conveying? This reminds me too of the hidden curriculum. Like, if the school doesn't paint stuff, it's sending a message that your education doesn't count. And that hidden curriculum can be, I really wish my syllabus was easier to understand, but admin kind of has a lot of stuff they want in there. You ever see that board policy 6080? It's got all the 22 items we have to have in every syllabus. Well, I put that in a custom AI program, and then I just run my syllabus through there, and it comes out with a chart saying, does it have it? Here's what page it's on. Here's the contents of the field. So I just run all my syllabi through that. Bada bing, bada boom. Because our office manager, she has to do 170 syllabi at the beginning of every semester. So, yeah, and there's that gray area again. Ooh, do the assignments. See, some of my assignments do have high expectations, but my grading system is so complex, they will just choose not to do it. And they still can do okay because there are so many other ways to get points. Like my first assignment in my intro classes, that they apply to the TV show Survivor. So they're all applying to get on Survivor. And only half of them do it. But I want them to get past the TV screen, get outside their normal schema, outside the box, and not think, I'm on the couch here, those people are over there, I can't get there. No, you just go right past it. You go to their website and the actual casting director comes on with a video to teach you how to make your video to get on the show. And that's the dude that's going to actually watch your video. So in 5 years, I got a student who got a call for the second level. She just had her interviews with the producers and the showrunner. If she gets on the show, it's just going to make me a happy person. I'm going to say my whole 20 years of Triton has been worth it. Plus, imagine how much fun it's going to be to watch her. All the Triton students be like throwing popcorn at the screen and, Bonnie, don't do it. Don't trust that guy. Another good one I do is I have them go 24 hours without any electronics and then write about what that was like. So that's another challenging one in the sense that they don't want to do it. It's not hard for them, they'll figure it out. But so I think I get about half the people that actually do it. So I'm like, hey, this is a great educational opportunity, I'm telling you. So what kind of patterns? You know, I had one class, have you ever done this? I had one class where they switch seats every class session. Have you ever tried that?
No.
That's a tall order because people, you know, there's certain people who want to sit in the back right by the door. I've been that way my whole life. But it was a social psych class. Once they started doing it, they just did it seamlessly. Nobody cared. They just all went in a different seat. It changed the whole dynamic every class. We didn't have side conversations. It worked great. The other times I've tried it, they just resisted too much. They were not into it. And then,
What's in the background?
those are sending messages, right? Their back row is sending a message to us. Who we're calling on, sending message to them. If somebody answers a real lot, I put the cone of silence over them. Have you ever seen that show, Get Smart? He used to have the cone of silence. He would be in with his boss. Yeah, so I'll put the cone of silence over David because beginning of class we play Wordle, them against me. And if they win, they get extra credit. So, and this one guy, David, is so good at Wordle, it's like I have to put the cone of silence over him. He had to be shut down. He was too good. So then step back and take a look at it. What are some micro behaviors? We were talking about their names. What's another micro behavior? A little something that we show that could affect their feeling of expectations, their trust, and their belief in themselves. Can you think of other ones besides how we deal with our names? I think names is big.
I agree with that. Really calling your name.
It's an opportunity for me to model respect too, because I keep after it until I'm sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then I nickname everybody, and if you don't like your nickname, just let me know. Because plus I don't do well with the pronoun sensitivity. Like, you know, I want to be called her or she or him or his. So I just give them a nickname and call them by the nickname. H squared. What's up? H squared, you know, that was one Hunter or something. She wanted to be called he, I think. And I remember, this is too confusing, I'll never remember it, so I just named her H squared.
Some of us, some of my colleagues and I, we do a survey at the beginning of the class, asking them, you know, what their major, what they want to do with their degree, you know, how long they've been, you know, sort of something like that. And if there's something I'm trying to understand as a baseline, I'll throw in some baseline questions that I just want to get an idea of what's top of mind. You know, that's sort of their entrance ticket for the first class.
Right.
And then I can use that to kind of, you know, review that. And if there's something that we're going to be talking about in class, students who have a certain major that might relate to some of the case studies or something, I can talk about those and say, in your department, what is that like in your major? And I can have them talk in their expertise or, if they work in a certain field, what's it like in the restaurants? Anybody else work in the restaurant sometimes? You know,
Right.
what's it like when you're dealing with this? Because
Customers, because
field
retail.
work, customers, being in the field is like any job, you know.
Yeah.
You have to deal with people and dynamics and
And
stuff.
it's all psychology.
Yeah.
The whole thing is psychology.
Client centered.
Yeah. So they all have expertise, but to let them know that they've got expertise
Yeah.
and remembering
That
through their
counts.
context is helpful.
I like that message that let's see where you're at because where you're at matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get a picture of the class and what, you use like a poll everywhere or something, or?
You know, I have them just write it out, and then I have it in a notebook.
I like that, I've heard of writing, and then involves paper,
It's paper intensive.
made with like trees and stuff.
Yes.
Wow. I think body language can be a factor. Standing up at a podium versus sitting down versus
Walking amongst them.
walking amongst them.
Yeah.
What I try to do is vary that. To me, variety is going to be a good thing for them sort of staying on their toes, mentally staying on their toes. Some of those really quiet people, man, do they talk when you put them in a team of 3. I almost always go 3 because 2's not enough for dynamics, and 4 is iffy. 5, you start getting social loafing, and somebody will say the other 4 will deal with it. 3 seems to work the best for me. Do you guys do a lot of group work in
Yes.
class? What?
Yes.
They seem to come alive, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah, I'm watching my language all the time. And they'll say, what's that project that we have to do for Tuesday? And I'll just say, oh yeah, that project that you get to do for Tuesday. And I'll change it from have to do it to get to do it. Because, and sometimes I'll even say, you guys, you're so capable. You're capable of doing that project. You can choose to do it. You're smart. You're on the ball. It's like a luxury that you get to do that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can even be in school. So yeah, and this of course is like an entire school of psychology, cognitive psych, and Albert Ellison, how you frame things, the way you look at things, determines whether you're happy or sad when you get fired from a job. So the job sucked, I'm happy. The job was awesome, I'm sad. Yeah, the way we think about things. So we're back to the way we think about things, the way we talk to ourselves, and there's a whole schools of thought and psychology around that, which is right into the self-fulfilling prophecy. And then, oh yeah, Carol, so she did a bunch of research on growth mindset as opposed to fixed mindset. Intelligence, for instance, is intelligence something you have, or is it something you're busy growing? And so it's lucky, it's a luxury to teach psychology because there's so many things that just apply to everything. So I'm like, do you just bring it into class? Anything you've observed in life, and I'll make sense out of it in terms of psychology. Yeah, so we come across thing after thing after thing in all the classes, but especially positive psych, where I'll say, okay, that thing we just did, empathy, we just got into empathy. Empathy, it's a skill. And all semester long, I'm like, there's another skill. You can grow it. I'm trying to say to them, growth mindset, grow it, grow it, grow it. You can grow curiosity, excitement, intelligence. So there we go. This is the other one I like, is that as I'm doing it, as I'm living genuine optimism, for instance, then I'm modeling it for them. And it's only every few days or so ago, but then we're all going to die. So we're all going to die in a few years from climate change. So there you go. And then, of course, the research optimism is good for us, like all the way around. Biopsychosocial. So here, to show you what I did, I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, Chat, how's it going? I'm going to do a seminar for fellow professors on the self-fulfilling prophecy. What are 10 or 12 things I should include in that seminar? Then I went to Claude, and another AI engine, asked it the same thing. They each gave me 12. Then I took a instructor's chunk out of a textbook on the subject, and then they both referenced research, famous research studies. So I went to Query and Google and looked up the research studies. I saw they were legitimate links from the AI. And so I copied the research studies, or maybe I just took the URL and fed it in also into, and I took all of those pieces, 5, 6 pieces, and gave it to gamma.app, which I just looked up, gamma.app, somebody recommended, in fact, ChatGPT recommended it. I said, hey, Chat, who can make PowerPoints for me? And it gave me 5 engines, and one was Gamma. So I put it into Gamma app, 10 seconds, it made this whole PowerPoint.
Oh, wow.
So I saved a lot of time. And it did the color scheme, everything. I just said, here's a general idea of color scheme. I said, give me a presentation that has interesting stuff, exercises, research, and fun, and ready to go. And it did that. It took me 15 minutes, I think, to go through it and change some stuff to match more the way I think of it. Or I took 2 slides out, I added one. So, you know, you gotta, in order to make it my own, you gotta keep the human in the loop. But I use AI to write complicated emails for me all the time, letters of recommendation. I don't want to be good at that, writing letters of recommendation. So just throw a bunch of pieces in there and AI writes it for you. And it's beautiful at writing letters. Man, is it good.
I don't know, but it'll make us not think anymore.
Yeah, so, which is exactly what our students are facing. They're coming to a point of human history where AI is going to be capable of doing more and more and more thinking. I'm telling them, you are in charge of deciding when to use AI and when not. So I say invite it into everything, then kick it out where it doesn't belong.
You have to practicing doing it, you have to practice it. Now,
Yeah, I say use it everywhere, and then kick it out where it doesn't belong. Also kick it out if you'd rather do it yourself. And then there's places where you just don't want to do it, and it's going to do it for you. It's getting so good.
There's positive and negative effects.
Yeah, and I would go, if you use it correctly, it's like 9/10 positive. If you use it correctly. But it's a new skill. They have to develop it. We all do. We have to develop the skill of when and where and how to use AI. And the tools are going crazy.
Yeah.
Have you guys used Notebook LM yet?
No.
It's spelled like this. Definitely go find this. Notebook LM.
Similar, is it similar to
No, it's its own animal.
our own animal?
And there's, but don't forget, we have like 100 engines now. We have like 100 tools that we could use. There's great ones for music and there's great ones for images. But this one, you can put up to 50 PDFs in there and then tell it to create a podcast. And it will create a 10 to 20 minute podcast.
How about the images? Do you know what's the for images?
Yeah, Ideogram is my favorite. But Notebook LM, it'll create a podcast with actual human voices. 2 hosts talking about the PDFs you just put in there.
About the subject matter.
Yeah. And so I had forgotten about chapter 8. I hadn't read it in 2 years from this one textbook. I said to it, go to the web and get chapter 8 off of this person's textbook. If you ask her for the whole textbook, it's going to come back and say, I can't do it because of copyright. But if you ask them for one chapter, almost all of
they
them
will
will go
discuss
get
it.
Yeah, and then I put it in there. Then I had a 15-minute podcast. I went for a walk and just listened, and they just dug deep into the chapter 8, and it reminded me of everything. Yeah, so there's a case. Do I want to do that, or do I want to read chapter 8? In this case, it turns out I didn't have time.
Yeah, I can walk and listen at the same time.
Yeah. And with the advanced voice feature, which I have in here because I've got the monthly license, I can hook my phone up to my car and then discuss things with the phone. I call her Beatrice, and I said, Beatrice, I'm an engineer. When we talk, just treat it like we're solving a problem. Don't give me any of that human crap like, hey, nice day. Oh, good question. I said, eliminate all that, which she did. And I said, when I don't speak for a while, it's because I'm thinking, so just wait, which she does. And then all the way to school, we're just discussing, I need to do this concept in class today on such and such. Got any ideas for exercises? She'll go, yeah, you can try this. I'll go, students aren't gonna like that first one. Let's try the second one. I think they might not wanna grade each other. She'll go, okay, let's try this, and then back and forth, like I have a person in the passenger seat, except that person knows everything.
This AI is becoming more smarter.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
by the week,
What is the system?
by the
for that
week.
one?
That one was ChatGPT with the monthly license.
Monthly.
There are other ones that do voice, it's just that I found that there are so many tools. I like sticking with one or two or three and just getting used to them.
It's like when they would say in Star Trek, the Next Generation, computer and ask a question.
Yes, yeah. And so and you could talk to her about anything, but if you look at her that way, she's got the entire collected works of Carl Jung in her database. So I asked her a question about Jung, and we just have a good old time. So I was talking to her about Jung, Murray Stein, a Jung expert out of Northwestern, and BTS, the K-pop group. Do you know BTS? Around the world. Yeah, and so their album, Map of the Soul, a few years ago, was all about Jungian psychology. So I said, hey, what about this guy, this album? And then I said, what are some lyrics from that album, and what do they illustrate in Jung's theories? And we're just going back and forth, having a good old time talking. And eventually I go, okay, thanks, Beatrice, I'll talk to you later. And she goes, okay, see you later. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable what we can do. So this is the one, Mario, I'd highly recommend this one, ideogram.ai. And it does, in fact, it might let me in there really easily. Yeah, see, here's images that other people have created out in the community. But if we come in here, we could say, it's going to make me sign on so it recognizes me. No password. Oh. I wonder if I have the right password. Is it Pookie Duke? Yes. How about them apples? Go away, window. Oh, Mario. Okay, so here's these. So what do you want to make a picture of, Mario? Ready to go.
Say a heart.
And what about it?
Mm-hmm.
More detail. We need more detail.
More like the valves of the heart. The
Oh.
valves. Of the heart.
Ah.
Human?
Yes, human. Not-
A what?
Human heart.
Human heart valves.
Oh, good one. You want a diagram or do you want a fictional
Labels?
picture?
Yes, an image and labels.
A what?
Labeled image of. the
Oh,
human
okay,
heart.
so. I have no idea what that's gonna produce, but normally I would do like whole paragraphs.
Yeah.
And I went in here and this is how I generated my images for the Olympics. I made my own t-shirts, so I had all these Olympic themed stuff in
So
between.
this site, do we need to pay monthly or it's free?
This one, you get 10 a day for free. Yeah, and then there's other features you don't get if you got the free one. I'm not sure you can do the
So
aspect
this one you
ratio,
have to pay monthly.
No.
only to get the good stuff,
Only
the extra stuff.
Oh,
You
this
can
is-
get plenty
If
without
we just
paying.
get the basic.
Yeah, you can get plenty without
Okay,
paying.
let's see what's there.
And see, you've got all these different aspect ratios. That's where other image generators don't have that one. That's a good one, yeah. So, yeah, let's see if we get,
Ideal one.
let's see what we get. Look at what these other people have gotten.
So maybe some of these business people will use this one.
It's gonna be a whole question of, would you rather have AI art, quick, cheap, or human art, which has the human element? And I think people are gonna want the human element. So, oh, see, look, it misspelled all kinds of stuff. Are any of these close?
I don't think so. It's like,
Look at this. This is one of the hardest things for image generators is to spell text correctly. Let's try this one. You can remix it. And let's say,
So maybe if you had a paragraph that had all of the sections that you want labeled, if you included that, then it would do it correctly spelled, you know, or something.
yeah, oh, right, yeah, the more info
You
you
give
give it, the more accurate it's going to be for what you want.
to be specific.
Yeah, and you can get better results if you go, my job depends on it, or if you don't do this right, my grandmother's going to die, or if you offer it a bribe, like I'll give you $1,000. Those have all been shown by research to get better results. So
Yeah,
that's
give
kind of
them-
concerning.
You can tell-
I'll give you $1,000 and it doesn't have any idea what money, it doesn't care what money.
So it's the technology is doing this, right? No one is controlling it like
No.
remote.
No, and this-
remote-
So they think it's like a hobby or it's just you're goofing around, like a kid's goofing around unless you tell it it's really, really serious.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know why. No, you know, nobody knows why you get better results. They just know you do. But let's see if we got any better. No, not there. There's a vagus nerve. Is that how you spell it? Wow, I wonder why this is so bad.
Maybe can you give it a picture or give it a link to a picture?
Or maybe we can just edit the label, you know,
Oh,
as
yeah.
long as you have the image.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. If you give
Well,
it,
we can do better though. We could find somebody who's going to generate just what you want. That's all
Well,
we
if
should
there's
do.
already an image, that's okay. I can just label it myself. You know?
Let's try and see. Let's see if ChatGPT will do it for us. Because I have the paid version. You can also generate pictures over here. Over a chat.
do we have to credit them?
Ooh, that's a huge question. Now what? What about copyrights? What about everything? And one of the things they're talking now is we need a label where we can establish that we're a human.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
GMO or
Tricuspids.
not? You know, it's kind of like, is it GMO or is it
Yes, that's good.
is it live or is it Memorex?
The GPT is very good.
See, now the tricky part is though, is that the background is so complicated. You might have to tell, okay, now make it compliant with ADA for
Sure.
graphics and
Sure.
give it all text. You know what I mean? So that it's
Absolutely.
beautiful. I would have that as a poster, you know, in my office.
And
As
it-
a doctor, it would be great.
And it
But-
knows what ADA is, so I don't, but it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than doctors at diagnosing.
Yeah, yes.
It's already got there.
ChatGPT is better.
It can pass all the tests. It can do in the 90th percentile last time I checked, but that was 6 months ago. So it's probably, 99th
Like
percentile.
reading labs and all that kind of stuff.
LSAT, MCAT, the surgeon's exam, like you name it, all those standardized tests.
Right.
ChatGPT, the free version, can just blow those tests away. A guy's getting kicked out of Columbia right now because he developed a programming AI that shows itself in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, but it's transparent to other people. And people use it to cheat when he built it so people could cheat on their interviews with tech companies. Because tech companies make you do this 45-minute, really difficult puzzle and program it in front of them. And so they would normally see your screen, they could see your programming, but they can't see the little thing in the corner, which is AI solving the problem for you as you type it in. And all kinds of people have gotten all kinds of jobs. And he's like, well, I guess I'm going to get kicked out of Columbia, but he's starting a startup to sell that program, and he's already made $200,000. He's like, I guess I was made to be an entrepreneur. I'm not staying at Columbia. He was really a fun guy though. So yeah, but so the thing would be, one thing to remember that people don't think of with AI is always remember to turn around to it and go, is there a better way I can do this? Because it won't know to suggest it. It won't know. So ask it, because I I found this really cool way, he said quietly, to grade papers. I'm not saying that because I might get in trouble with admin. It's in our contract. But I found this great way to grade papers, and I tested it by putting a student's paper in there, and I had all these other things to help grade, the rubric, all kinds of stuff. And it wrote this beautiful feedback. Then I read the student's paper and I change the feedback, so it's the two of us doing it together, me and AI. And I said, how could I do this better? Can you think of one? It goes, you can just give me all the papers. You don't have to give them to me one at a time. Why did that not occur to me? I don't know, but I was feeding them in one at a time, and it goes, just give them all to me. So I just get the whole class. It goes, it's unbelievable. Our entire world is going to change so dramatically, and that's why it's great being in psychology. The psychological challenges, I contend, are going to be way greater than the rest of them. We're going to be re-examining what it means to be human. So we're going to have markers. Some people are talking about markers that prove we're human, that you're going to need for various things. Like if you go into an app and you're trying to accomplish something, there are certain people that are going to want to know it's you as a human and not an AI agent.
The IRS did that to me yesterday.
They did? They said, we need you to be a human?
Yeah, so I had to hold my phone, it had an oval, my face had to go into the oval, and it
Yeah.
shot 10 different colors of light at
Yeah.
my face.
Right.
And then it said I was who I said I was.
I think I did that last year with the
It
IRS.
was like ID.me or something, website.
Right.
Was interfacing
That's
with the
where I
IRS
did that.
website.
That's where I did that.
Can I stop the recording?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was extra couple minutes.
Stop recording.